Before we begin, if you seek deep stories and transformative reflections on Zen, subscribe to Tradition Zen. Here, you'll find teachings that can change your perspective on life. Now, let's dive into the story. There was a great monastery in a region of China where about 500 monks lived. They were all following the path of self-realization under the guidance of a Zen master. One day, a man arrived at the monastery, wishing to become a disciple. He approached the master and said, "Master, I want to know myself. I want to understand the truth." The Zen master observed him for a moment and replied, "If you want to know the truth, you must be willing to risk your entire life. It may take a lifetime to attain it, and even then there is no guarantee that you will succeed. Are you prepared for that?" Without hesitation, the young man responded, "Master, I have come here to walk this path without regrets. I am ready." The master then gave him a single task. "If that is so, do this. There are 500 monks in this monastery. Your duty will be to take care of the rice pounding. Beat the rice from dawn until nightfall. When you get tired, sleep, and when you wake up, start again. Do nothing else. Think of nothing else. Just follow this path. Also, do not come to me again. When the time is right, I will come to you." The young man accepted the task without question. From that day on, he spent his days tirelessly pounding rice. Since all the monks needed food, he would begin at dawn and continue until nightfall. When sleep overtook him, he would rest in the same place where he worked. He spoke to no one, and no one spoke to him. For the first few months, his mind was still filled with thoughts, but over time, without new stimuli, those thoughts began to fade away. Days turned into years, and little by little, he even forgot his own name. He simply worked in silence, without questioning, without meditating, without reading scriptures. The other disciples saw him as a fool, far inferior to them. 12 years passed. One day, the master announced that his time was coming to an end and that he needed to choose a successor to lead the monastery. He said, "Those who have attained self-realization must write a few lines on the wall near my door tonight. These words should express their understanding." Many disciples considered participating. One of the most knowledgeable monks wrote the following: "The mind is like a mirror upon which the dust of thoughts and desires accumulates. Sweeping away this dust is true meditation. He who has purified his mind has attained enlightenment." The next morning, when the master saw these words, he became furious. "Who is the fool that wrote this nonsense on my wall?" he exclaimed. The disciple who had written it remained silent. Although his words were beautiful, they were merely theoretical knowledge taken from sacred texts. He had not signed his name because, deep down, he was not truly sure of what he had written. The master completely rejected the words. The entire monastery was in an uproar. The discussion spread among the monks. 2 disciples were talking about the incident as they passed by the young man who had been pounding rice for 12 years. Upon hearing their conversation, he chuckled softly. Curious, the 2 monks asked him, "Why are you laughing?" No one had ever seen this worker read scriptures or meditate, and to them he was nothing more than a simple servant. His opinion meant nothing to the scholars of the monastery. He calmly replied, "I laughed because the master is right. These words are meaningless, they have no real value." Shocked, the monks asked, "Then, can you write something better?" "I don't know how to write," the young man said, "but I can say a few words. If you are willing, you can write them down for me." They agreed. Together they went to the wall where the previous words had been rejected, and the young man dictated, "The mind is an illusion. There is no mind, nor is there a mirror. And if the mind does not exist, where can dust settle? He who realizes this has understood the truth." At dawn, the master saw these new words. Immediately he rose and went to where the young man was sleeping. Waking him, he handed him his staff and robe and said, "From today onward you are my successor, but leave this monastery immediately and go far away. I know that many here, believing themselves superior, will not accept that a simple worker has attained enlightenment while they have not. They will kill you out of envy. You have received everything I could teach you, and wherever you go, people will seek you out. When a flower blooms, its fragrance spreads naturally." The young man bowed, touched his master's feet in respect, and left that very night. If we reflect on this story, we will see that many people believe meditation requires sitting still with closed eyes. But in reality, meditation can be practiced at any moment, even while working. The true meaning of meditation is to be so absorbed in the present that the mind disappears. Just as the young man, after 12 years of pounding rice, forgot himself and attained enlightenment, we too can find truth in the simple act of living fully in the moment. After all, as long as thoughts exist, the mind remains. But when thoughts vanish, what remains is the pure essence of being. Thus, we do not need complex practices to discover our true nature. We only need to immerse ourselves completely in whatever we are doing, so deeply that the act itself becomes meditation. If this story brought you any insight, don't forget to subscribe to Tradition Zen. Here we share teachings that can help you find peace and clarity on your journey. See you in the next video.